A pleasant good morning and welcome to King's News Broom, the 45-minute news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of the world. Today is Tuesday, July 1st, 2025, and I'm Newton Tukpa presenting. Stories we're following this morning: President Joseph Boakai nominates Associate Justice Yemin Gbese as Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, calls on the Senate to conduct speedy confirmation. Prosecuting lawyers demand recusal of outgoing Chief Justice Sianayo from former Finance Minister Samuel Tuwe and 4 others. Corruption case says she lacks legal standing to hearing in a new case. National Custom Broker of Liberia terms National Legislature passage of the Liberian Sea and Inland Port Regulatory Act as the red burden for exporters and importers and shipping lines. The way from Liberia, civil rights groups say at least 7 people have been killed during a crackdown on protesters who had called for Togo leader to step down and release political prisoners. At least 20 Palestinians were killed in an Israeli airstrike that hit a popular seafront cave frequently used by activists, journalists, local residents in Western Gaza on Monday, according to medics and eyewitnesses. These plus the news bulletin, our international developments, and our package, but we'll take a very short break to be right back. Thanks for rejoining us. At this juncture, we join Otis Sankan, who is already seated this morning to bring us the news bulletin.
President Joseph Boakai has nominated Associate Justice Yemin Gbese as Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of Liberia, as the Liberian leader called on the Senate to speedily consider and confirm the nominee. Justice Gbese, age 66, is paused to replace outgoing Chief Justice Sianayo, who reached the constitutional retirement age of 70 on June 26, as provided by Article 72B of the 1986 Constitution. President Boakai, in a letter addressed to the Senate pro tem Yomli Kanga-Lauren, described Justice Gbese as a distinguished jurist who has demonstrated exemplary integrity, performed legal argument, and commitment to upholding the rule of law and the Constitution. According to the Executive Mansion release issued late Monday, Associate Justice Gbese, if confirmed, will mark a continuation of his long-standing judiciary service and dedication to the Liberian legal system. The release added that the nomination was made in accordance with Article 54C of the 1986 Constitution of Liberia, which granted the President the authority to appoint the Chief Justice, Associate Justices, and the judges of the subordinate courts. Additionally, the nomination aligned with Article 72B of the Constitution, which mandates retirement of justices upon reaching the age of 70. Prosecuting lawyers are seeking for the recusal of outgoing Chief Justice Sianayo from ex-Finance Minister Samuel Tuwe and 4 others corruption case on Tuesday, July 1, 2025, before the full bench of the Supreme Court. According to the judiciary correspondent, on Monday, the High Court confirmed that prosecuting lawyers' request for the Chief Justice to step down from defendant Samuel Tuwe and other case was contained in a motion continuance to the court. Our judiciary correspondent says state lawyers' motion for the delay, among other things, claimed that Chief Justice Yor lacked the legal standing to hearing any new cases after reaching the retirement age of 70 on June 26, 2025. The meeting that she retired on June 26, 2025 has provided by Article 72B of the 1986 Constitution of Liberia. As such, she is unfit to assign or hear any new cases beyond June 26. Article 72B states the Chief Justice and Associate Justice of the Supreme Court and judges of the subordinate courts of record shall be retired at the age of 70. In further, it further states a justice and associates of the Supreme Court may continue in office for as long may be necessary to enable them to render judgment or perform any other judicial duties in regards to proceeding entertained by him before he attained the age. As a result of this legal provisions, state lawyers argue that Justice Yor cannot sit over any new case except for rendering judgment in proceeding entertained by her before she attained the retirement age of 70 on June 26, 2025. State lawyers' request to the court comes barely a day when some Liberian legal practitioners raise similar concern regarding the breach of the High Court action to assign defendant Twe and other corruption case for hearing after reaching the retirement age of 70 on June 26, 2025. The National Custom Broker of Liberia has sharply criticized the national legislature recent patches of the Liberian Sea and Inland Port Regulatory Act. Addressing a press conference Monday, NCBAL President James Hinnon accused the legislature of passing the act without seeking the knowledge or participation of business, including stakeholders that are essential to Liberian trade. Hinnon questioned the motive behind the passage, pointing out Section 306 of the Act, which introduces additional fees that would directly burden importers, exporters, shipping lines, among others. According to Hinnon, the government is using the legislation to introduce new financial burden for businesses, rather alleviating challenges faced with across the country. The Asset Recovery and Property Retrieval Task Force has confirmed the discovery of more than 40 new suspected corruption cases across Liberia. The institution's latest disclosure followed days after the arrest of former Foreign Minister D. Max Kimia and several others former officials of the WIA administration accused of allegedly misappropriating over 25,000 bags of 25 kg rice intended for vulnerable Liberians. Speaking on state radio on Monday, the chairman of the task force, Councillor Edward Clark Martin, disclosed that the cases range from theft of government properties to diversion of public funds for personal gain. He stated that the task force has gathered substantial evidence linking the suspects to what he described as systemic looting of national resources. Councillor Mountain further revealed that 26 active cases of alleged public funds theft are currently under investigation. He emphasized that the arrests are imminent and those found culpable will face the full weight of the law. The Assets Recovery Team chairman reiterated that the anti-corruption drive is non-discriminatory, contrary to some public perception. He affirmed his team's commitment to ensuring that all individuals involved in depriving the nation of its resources and properties are brought to justice, thus emphasizing the government commitment to upholding accountability. The University of Liberia has announced plans to offer master and PhD programs in gender and security studies. In an official release issued Monday, the university disclosed that the programs aim to provide advanced academic and professional opportunities for individuals working or aspiring to work in gender and security related fields. According to the university, the program will be officially launched on July 3rd of this year and will be hosted under the College of Gender Studies and Interdisciplinary Research. The release added that the program will foster research and dialogue around gender equality, human rights, and national and global security challenges. Meanwhile, as part of the launch activities, the University of Liberia has scheduled an inaugural lecture which will serve as a platform to introduce the academic framework and highlight the importance of gender-sensitive approaches in security studies, among other things. Steel giant ArcelorMittal Liberia is expected to appear before the House of Representatives Joint Committees on Investment and Concession this Tuesday, July 1, for formal concession compliance hearing. The House of Representatives, among other things, is requesting AML to present a comprehensive financial report covering its operation in Liberia over the last 5 years. According to the House Bureau of Press and Public Affairs, the hearing is being organized in close collaboration with the Committees on Lands, Mines, Natural Resources, and Environment and Labor. The hearing will focus on ArcelorMittal Liberia compliance with its Mineral Development Agreement. The House of Representatives has requested concession companies to submit all relevant documentation in support of its presentation before or on the day of the hearing. Recently, there has been mounting public calls after Nimba County Legislative Caucus accused AML of falling short on key components of its Mineral Development Agreement. While that's Nimba County Senator Yang Tuan, who made the allegation, vowed to lead an uncompromising campaign against AML to ensure the company lives up to its Mineral Development Agreement and remain compliant to its social corporate responsibility. Meanwhile, Nimba County District Number 7 Representative Musa Hassan Belite publicly backed Senator Jan Steins against AML and called on individuals who are members of the caucus to avoid interfering into concern raised by the caucus, which reflects the interests of the locals in Liberia at large. The Liberia Council of Churches has challenged the Bouaka Koun government to ensure a holistic fight against the acts of corruption and respect every citizen's rights regardless of being accused of corruption. Secretary General of the Liberia Council of Churches, Reverend Christopher Toll, said the council is aware of recent legal action involving former and current government officials over allegations of corruption and other offenses. Addressing a press conference over the weekend in Monrovia, Reverend Toll noted that a body rooted in faith, justice, and peace, the council will at all times speak with clarity, care, and conviction. He stated that despite the LCC supports the government duties to fight corruption and ensure justice, such must be done with absolute fairness. Reverend Christopher Toll further mentioned that every person accused is innocent until proven guilty, adding that the government is under obligation to treat everyone with dignity and respect. The LCC at the same time appealed to the court, lawyers, and security personnel to exercise neutrality, care, and transparency in ongoing corruption cases. The council also frowned at using the law for public or personal motive, demanding that every step must be guided by truth and guided by what is just the right or just and right in the fight against corruption. The chief executive officer at the Cable Consortium has offered to provide 1 month long career training for young adults in the United Methodist Church in August this year. Nathaniel Kevin said the training is necessary because it will assist the youth in preparing for the future as they will head the church and the country in the absence of the current generation. Kelvin made the offer of 1 month long career training for youth of the United Methodist Church when he was honored and such as Father of the Year by the United Methodist Men Organization of the Monrovia District Conference at a worship service held at the First United Methodist Church in Monrovia on Sunday. He also cautioned the United Methodist Men Organization and others well-meaning Liberians to support in providing the month-long career training for youth of the church in August. The African Media Network, in collaboration with the Association of Like-Minded Women Network, has called on the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission to investigate the algorithm management team at the Liberia Agricultural Commodity Regulatory Authority in order to ascertain the reason behind the suspension by President Joseph Boakai. The executive director of the network, Prince Grando, said it is surprising to see that the managing director and his deputies for administration to be suspended by President Bouaka just 3 weeks after he praised them for the best performing agency is worrisome. Addressing a press conference in Monrovia, Grando pointed out that a speeded investigation at the LACC needs has to clear their names and determine they embezzled any funds from the entity. Early last month, President Bouaka praised LACRA management team, including Christopher Sankolo, Director General, and his Deputy Director General Chie Galid, for being the best performing entity of the government, but they were suspended late last week due to corruption. The Director of Communication at the National Food Assistance Agency, Webster Yan, is calling on parents to double up their role in the ongoing in the upbringing of their children, stating that there are a lot of things resulting to children going astray. According to him, parents must be able to play a role worthy of emulating in order to bring the children in a way that will benefit the community and the country at large. Yang made the assertion when he delivered the keynote speech marking the graduation and closing program of the Meritia Elementary and Junior High School in Tartan in Baton Rouge during the weekend. At the end of the program, four ninth graders and the static kindergarten students were awarded certificates of successfully completing the requirement of the institution and those of the Ministry of Education. A Liberia businessman, Collie Gigi, has emphasized the importance of government investing in early childhood education, describing it as a foundational step towards national development. Serving as guest speaker at the Nimland Brothers Preparatory School on the Bushra Island, Gigi called on parents and guardians to prioritize their children's education over material things. According to him, children represent the future of every society. Therefore, they must be equipped through quality education to meaningfully contribute to the national growth and transformation. He also cautioned against the growing trend of purchasing seasonal materials items for children, gift, noting these gifts only provide temporary satisfaction but do little to prepare young people for the reality of life. Cody, at the same time, urged Liberian parents to rethink their spending priorities and redirect their resources toward children's academic future, terming education as the most valuable inheritance. The News Bulletin.
Otis Sankan with the news bulletin. The news bulletin is a record of feature here on King's Newsroom. What if you just joining us? A reminder, you're listening to King's Newsroom, a 45 minutes news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of the world. Today is Tuesday, July 1st, 2025, and I'm Newton Tokwa presenting stories we're following this morning. President Joseph Bouaka nominates Associate Justice Yemen Bese as Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, calls on the Senate to conduct speedy confirmation. Prosecuting lawyers demand recusal of outgoing Chief Justice Yana Yo from former Finance Minister Samuel Tuwe and four others corruption case, says she lacks legal standing to hearing any new case. National Custom Broker of Liberia terms National Legislature passage of the Liberia Sea and Inland Port Regulatory Act as direct burden for exporters, importers, and shipping lines. Away from Liberia, civil rights groups said at least 7 people have been killed during a crackdown on protesters who had calling for Togo's leader to step down and release political prisoners. At least 20 Palestinians were killed in an Israeli airstrike that hit a popular seafront cave frequently used by activists, journalists, and local residents in western Gaza on Monday, according to medics and eyewitnesses. We take another break. When we come back, we'll bring you the voices of the newsmakers. Welcome back. On our first development here this morning, the Assets Recovery and Property Retrieval Task Force has confirmed the discovery of more than 40 new suspected corruption cases across Liberia. The institution's latest disclosure followed this after the arrest of former Foreign Minister D. Maswell Kimia and several other former officials of the WIA's administration accused of allegedly misappropriating over 25,000 bags of rice intended for vulnerable Liberians. Speaking on state radio Monday, the chairman of the task force, Councillor Edwin Clark Martin, disclosed that the cases range from theft of government properties to the diversion of public funds for personal gain. He stated that the task force has gathered substantial evidence linking the suspects to what he described as systematic looting of national resources.
40 suspicious properties. We are now evaluating the soul. We are evaluating the owners because we're also going to detail here, tell you what obtaining and how the properties were gotten. Some people will jump in the street, but we won't do that. The outcome of our investigation will be shown to the Liberian people. And we need to also even say that some of the bank accounts that we have identified, the millions of United States dollars that are part, the Liberian people will jump in the street. But we wouldn't say that until the result and the subsequent legal process ensued. But by and large, I'm not trying to say that there's a strange thing in our country that the president initiated. It has never happened before. Tracing stolen assets is a strange thing in our country. And this public forum is to make the Liberian people to understand and to comprehend that what we are doing it in the interest of the country. I'm taking serious risk with my life. I'm taking risk for the life of my family because of the country. The job that we do, highly risky job. But because of the country, and we believe that someone has to make the sacrifice. Or not make the sacrifice for someone to take my life, but someone has to make the sacrifice at least for history to remember that, look, our part of the process to transform Liberia from this point to this point. And when you work in anti-corruption terrain, it gives you a third eye to see. What I will see in this country when it comes to corruption investigation, you will not have to, because we are trained, we had the opportunity to be trained in West Africa and in some part of Paris, and even went to the UK to have the opportunity. So where I'm seated personally, I think I am properly situated to understand and to bring to light and to set a checkpoint and to establish deterrence for the prevention of corruption and the prevention of stolen public access.
He is the chairman of the Assets Recovery and Property Retrieval Task Force. Councillor Clark Martinez speaking. Still joining us, ArcelorMittal Liberia is expected to appear before the House of Representatives Joint Committees on Investment and Construction on Tuesday, July 1st, for a 4-month construction compliance hearing. The House of Representatives, among other things, is requesting AML to present a comprehensive financial report covering its operations in Liberia over the past 5 years. According to the House's Bureau of Press and Public Affairs, the hearing is being organized in close collaboration with the Committees on Lands, Mines, Energy, Natural Resources, and Environment and Labor. The hearing will focus on ArcelorMittal Liberia's compliance with its Mineral Development Agreement. The House of Representatives has also requested the Construction Cabinet to submit all relevant documentation in support of its its presentation before or on the day of the hearing. Recently, there has been mounting public calls after Nimba County Legislative Caucus accused AML of falling short on key components of its Mineral Development Agreement. Nimba County Senator Yan Twen, who made the allegations, vowed to lead an uncompromising campaign against AML to ensure the company live up to its Mineral Development Agreement and remain compliant to its social corporate responsibility.
It is my solemn duty as Senator of the people of Nimba to speak clearly, without fear, about the glaring failure of ArcelorMittal in honoring both the letter and spirit of its obligation. I issue this statement to address critical concerns regarding ArcelorMittal Liberia's failure to comply with key provisions of the amended Mineral Development Agreement of 2007. Since the inception of the NDA, the people of Nimba, especially those directly affected in the directly affected concession area, have waited in vain for meaningful improvement in their lives, while AML has continued its lucrative mining operations and boasting of $1.4 billion infrastructure expansion aimed at upgrading its oil before export, while our people continue to endure substandard living conditions and broken premises. The following are unequivocal breaches of the Mineral Development Agreement and undelivered social corporate responsibility by AML. 1. Failure to improve the lives of people within the concession area. AML has failed to improve the socio-economic conditions of communities within its operational footprint. Despite being in Nima for more than 2 decades, the people in and around Ikepa live without basic amenities and face hardship, contradicting the expectation of shared benefits from natural resource extraction. The company has made little effort to restore and upgrade housing facilities in Ikepa, leaving our once beautiful town dilapidated and lying in ruins, while billions are taken from its soil.
Meanwhile, the Nimba County District 7 Representative Musa Hassan Belite publicly backed Senator Toan stands against AML and called on individuals who are members of the caucus to avoid interfering into concerns raised by the caucus, which reflect the interests of the locals and that's Liberia at large.
Nimba is a free place, it's a free space, but the fight for our people to get what they deserve, nobody in Nimba outside of the legislative caucus, the legitimate representative of the people, can say yes, everything, or of course no, everything is not. When I agree, I'm telling you, Nimba is the most democratic place. We are politically inclined. We can talk. Other people can come here and say Medasti is coming from heaven. They have done everything, but that is their right. What we know is that deal, we will not accept it unless we are sure it's good for our people. You don't think, but now, as the representative of the people, we should be a praise of it so that we can make our input? Okay, they sweep it under the carpet deliberately in the heat of politics. 2029, when every lawmaker is only focused now on their survival, they will bring it and dump it all. When I agree, if leaders still want a solution, we will find a solution. If the executive wants a solution, we will find it. A solution that will exclude the involvement of the caucus and some very prominent Nimbayans that we think should be sitting down on that technical committee. Oh, yes, people with institutional knowledge should be there. We have good people that can sit on the floor. Take, for instance, the former Chief Justice, right? He's on the international board of what role is he playing in it? They have not. He doesn't even know nothing about anything. They don't. He has not. We thought that he knew. Nobody has gone to him.
His Nimba County District 7 Representative Musa Hassan Belite earlier heard the voice of Senator Yan Toyan of Nimba County. The National Custom Broker of Liberia has sharply criticized the national legislature's recent passage of the Liberian Sea and Inland Port Regulatory Act. Addressing a press conference Monday, NCBL President James Hine accused the legislature of passing the act without seeking the knowledge of participation of businesses, including stakeholders that are essential to Liberian trade. Hine questioned the motive behind the passage, pointing out Section 306 of the Act, which introduces additional fees that will directly burden importers, exporters, shipping lines, among others.
The National Custom Brokers Association of Liberia, the NCBAL, would like to express deep shock and disappointment regarding the recent passage of the Liberian Sea and Inland Port Regulatory Act by the National Legislature. This critical legislation was passed without the knowledge or participation of the businesses that are essential to the Liberian trade. Stakeholder consultation is a cornerstone of sound and inclusive policy making. The absence of such engagement not only undermines confidence in the legislative process, but also raises serious concern about the sustainability and effectiveness of the law itself. We wonder if the motive is genuine. We are particularly alarmed by Section 306 of the Act, which introduces additional fees that will directly burden importers, exporters, shipping lines, and ultimately the liberated consumer. Below are our specific concerns regarding key provisions. Section 306(1). The agency shall determine and collect regulatory fees from stakeholders for continual port development. The imposition of additional fees at each seaport will heighten transaction costs for businesses, placing an increased financial burden on stakeholders. There shall be a fee for each arriving seacraft paid over the agency. New vessel charges will likely discourage ship owners from bringing their ships to Liberia, resulting in fewer vessels and increased freight rates. Section 306(4). The agency shall collect charges from port operations and other entities necessary for financing the agency budget. This provision, which requires Liberia businesses to form the budget of another government entity, contradicts efforts aimed at lowering the cost of doing business in Liberia.
He's the national president of the Custom Broker Association of Liberia, James Hennedy speaking. What if just joining us with the time half past the hour? A reminder you're listening to King's Newsroom, a 45 minutes news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of the world. Today is Tuesday, July 1st, 2025, and I'm Newton Tokwa presenting. Stories we're following this morning. President Joseph Waka nominates Associate Justice Yemin Bese as Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, calls on the Senate to conduct speeded confirmation. Prosecuting lawyers demand recusal of outgoing Chief Justice Yana Yo from former Finance Minister Samuel Tue and 4 others. Corruption case says she lacks legal standing to hearing any new case. National Custom Broker Association of Liberia terms the National Legislature passage of the Liberia Sea and Inland Port Regulatory Act as direct burden for importers, exporters, and shipping lines. And away from Liberia, civil rights groups said at least 7 people have been killed during a crackdown on protesters who had called for Togo's leader to step down and release political prisoners. And at least 20 Palestinians were killed in an Israeli airstrike that hit a popular seafront cave frequently used by activists, journalists, and local residents in Western Gaza on Monday, according to medics and eyewitnesses. We'll take another break and we'll come back. We'll bring you more voices on the program. On this one now, the Chief Executive Officer of the Cable Consortium has offered to provide 1 month long career training for young adults in the United Methodist Church in August this year. Nathaniel Kelvin said the training is necessary because it would assist the youth in preparing for the future as they would head the church and the country in the absence of the current generation. Kelvin made the offer of 1 month long career training for youth of the United Methodist Church when he was honored and sash as Father of the Year by the United Methodist Men Organization of Monrovia District Conference at a worship service held at the First United Methodist Church in Monrovia on Sunday.
The vision I'm putting to you today is that in the month of August, I'm going to take 22 days in the month of August, and every youth and young adults in the United Methodist Church or outside of the United Methodist Church. We will assemble each day. We will cater to our youth and our young adults. Those 22 days going to bring devotions, Bible studies, career path, sporting events. We're going to keep our young people, the future of this church, the future of this country. If we don't start to recognize that fact, they will cross the street. Think about it. And when you do, it costs you more to bring them back. I want to challenge all the fathers of this year, and if possible subsequent years, that we dedicate the August month as mentorship month. I'm trying now to negotiate for Jacob Bauer High School, because they're on vacation, for us to have this 22-day program, Monday to Friday. We're going to bring career professionals, ministers, gospel ministers, health practitioners to talk to our young people. Anything from how you prevent illnesses, how to be healthy. We're going to keep them together so that they can know when they look at each other, they see you will be my partner when I become a president of this country tomorrow. That's what we need to do.
He is the Chief Executive Officer of Cable Consortium, Nathaniel Kelvin, there speaking. The African Media Network, in collaboration with the Association of Like-Minded Women Network, has called on the Liberian Anti-Corruption Commission to investigate the outgoing management team at the Liberian Agricultural Commodity and Regulatory Authority in order to ascertain the reasons behind their suspension by President Joseph Boakai. The executive director of the network, Prince Grando, said it is surprising to see that the managing director and his deputy for administration to be suspended by President Boakai just 3 weeks after he praised them for the best performing agency is worrisome. Addressing a press conference in Monrovia, Grando pointed out that a speedy investigation by the LECC is needed so as to clear their names and determine whether they embezzle and fund from the entity.
We have gathered here today to address the recent developments surrounding the Liberia Agricultural Commodity Regulatory Authority and its Director General, Mr. Christopher D. Sankolo, as well as his Deputy Director General for Administration and Finance, Mr. Chie D. Gali. I'm here in collaboration with the Association of Like-Minded Women Network of Liberia, expresses strong concern over the suspension of Mr. Christopher Sankolo, Director General of the Liberia Agricultural Commodity Regulatory Authority, LACRA for short, on allegation of financial irregularity. As many of you are aware, including you members of the press, President Joseph Boakai Sr. earlier this month awarded LACRA 2 distinct certificates, barely 3 weeks after the award. Especially in this light, we note that this suspension was enacted without a credible audit report. We consider it as very harsh, and the action was very excessive. We urge the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission to conduct a thorough, transparent, and prompt investigation record at LACRA. We believe it provides an opportunity for him to be clear of the reported allegation.
He is the executive director of African Media Network, Prince Grando, they're speaking. The Director of Communication at the National Food Assistance Agency, Webster Yan, is calling on parents to double up their roles in the upbringing of their children, stating that there are a lot of things resulting children to go astray. According to him, parents must be able to play a key role worthy of emulating in order to bring their children in a way that will benefit the community and the country at large. Yan Media section where he delivered the keynote speech marking the graduation and closing program of the Meritia Elementary and Junior High School in Tartown in Bannersville during the weekend.
We all have a role to play in the education of our children. Just as how we expect our students to come out with flying colors to make us proud, we ourselves owe it to ourselves to play our part. All that is displayed here today before our eyes is a feedback that we should get, and then we put in corrective measures if there's anything that we're not satisfied with. And for the future to make something good for our school children, we have to play our role. The parents, those of us parents, we know that the students have just small time to be in the classroom. You students will have few hours to be in the classroom. And after the classroom, you go back to your home. And it is the duty of us parents to guide them. You know, because the education we want to get, education centers around skill acquisition. You get skill. Education centers around knowledge, and education centers around character traits. These three things are talking about work, largely because a part of the education that is important to them is to have gotten the delivery.
He's the Director of Communication at the National Food Assistance Agency, Webster Yan, they're speaking. A Liberian businessman, Koli Gege, has emphasized the importance of government investing in early childhood education, describing it as a fundamental step toward national development. Serving as guest speaker at the Namely Brothers Preparatory School on Bush Road Island, Gege called on parents and guardians to prioritize their children's education over material things. According to him, children represent the future of every society. Therefore, they must be equipped through quality education to meaningfully contribute to the national growth and development of their nations. It also cautioned against the growing trend of purchasing seasonal material items for children gifts, noting that these gifts only provide temporary satisfaction but do little to prepare them for the future.
This message is not just going to the students, this message is also going to our parents. Please bring up the child in a way, more especially in this dispensation, that person will not be a burden to you. You will have human society. Rather, so they can be in help in your own way. That particular sacrifice start now. So keep moving forward as a parent. Keep moving. Keep talking to the child. Keep talking to your children to acquire private education. Women education, you're taking away your parents have never been. Education is pointless. Anyone can go to carry anyone. If you have acquired education today in a period, you don't have to carry both. And you have learned from one who said it as a student. What will the knowledge acquired through your high school journey? You can serve the country in the world area. You can never make yourself beautiful. You will never be spoken about. No one will explain your story anywhere that you cannot make yourself beautiful. So please, now waste your time with us. You don't have people to support you. You can support yourself in whatever the devil that you want to support yourself in. With that, you can succeed and be whatever person you want to be.
A Liberian businessman, Koli Gege, they're speaking. And away from Liberia, a civil rights group said at least 7 people have been killed during a crackdown on protesters who had called for Togo's leader Farid Gassinigui to to step down and release political prisoners. 7 bodies were recovered from rivers in the capital city, Lomé, according to the coalition called the Front Satoyen Togo Debut, which accuses security forces and militias of committing abuses. The Togolese government has denied these deaths were linked to last week's demonstrations. It is now threatening legal action against the protest organizers, calling the protest a campaign of disinformation and hatred that was orchestrated from abroad. At least 20 Palestinians were killed in an Israeli airstrike that hit a popular seafront pier frequently used by activists, journalists, and local residents in western Gaza on Monday, according to medics and eyewitnesses. Rescue teams evacuated 20 bodies and dozens of wounded from Al Bakat Cafeteria, an outdoor venue which consisted of events along the beach. A spokesperson from Gaza's Hamas-run civic defense told the BBC. He added that emergency crews were still searching through a deep crater left by the explosion. On that notice, I would like to go home on this edition of King's News, Broom, a 45 minutes news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of the world. But just before we go home this morning, let's remind you of stories we've been following. President Joseph Waka nominates Associate Justice Yemen Besi as Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, calls on the Senate to conduct speedy confirmation. Prosecuting lawyers demand recusal of outgoing Chief Justice Yanayu from former Finance Minister Samuel Tue and 4 others. Corruption case says she lacks legal standing to hearing any new case. National Custom Broker Association of Liberia terms the National Legislature passage of the Liberian Sea and Inland Port Regulatory Act as direct burden for importers, exporters, and shipping lines. Away from Liberia, civil rights groups said at least 7 people have been killed during a crackdown on protesters who are calling for Togo's leader, Farid Gassinigbe, to step down and release political prisoners. At least 20 Palestinians were killed in an Israeli airstrike that hit a popular seafront pier frequently used by activists, journalists, and local residents in western Gaza on Monday, according to medics and eyewitnesses. These are stories we follow here this morning on King's News Broom. Otis Sankan brought us the news bulletin. Better still, join us this afternoon at 1 o'clock, at which time we will be here with another splendid edition of the program. My name is Newton Topa. I presented this edition of the program. Thanks for listening and watching. Good morning.